Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and I want to show you how you can easily install the Protuning Freaks flex fuel sensor into your BMW. Alright, so let's talk about this project really quick, and actually the reasons why to do this will probably take longer than it takes to do the project itself. This is really simple and something you can easily do at home with a 10mm socket. Now, as you probably know, the key to good performance out of your car really comes down to fuel. And there's so many choices there from what you have at the pump, and depending on where you live, you've got everything from 91, 92, 93 octanes. Sometimes you have really bad gas. And if you wanted to even get more exotic and run E85 through all of those different options, it's always a hassle. Because, for example, if you had an E85 tune for your car, you'd have to run it all the way down to fumes on your pump gas, go to the gas station if you have one nearby, fill it up, change your tune, and you'd have to do the same thing when you're coming off that. You'd have to run it all the way down to nothing before you put regular pump gas back in. And even then, you're kind of guessing. I've seen enthusiasts at the gas station with their little tester kits trying to figure out what their exact ethanol level is in their car. And it's just a hassle and something I've always avoided because I didn't want to deal with it. The Protuning Freaks has solved this problem. This is a plug and play flex fuel sensor that we're going to add to the low pressure fuel pump, integrates into the CAN bus of the car, have controls off your steering wheel, everything that we've always ever wanted in a very quick and easy install. That way you have that advantage that you can actually have a flex fuel tune. Your car will adjust automatically with the right tune. You go to the gas station right now with about half a tank of regular 92 octane pump gas. I can top it off with E85 with the controls. I can actually see what my ethanol level actually is in my tank. And you can have a flex fuel tune that will adjust automatically. So all of that manual work, all of the hard work, 5, 6, 7 hours of install time to install a flex fuel sensor, plus running additional fuel lines and splicing cables and all that hassle, all comes down to a 10mm socket and a fantastic sensor from Protuning Freaks. So I'm really excited about this. This is going to unlock significant more power in my car as I can change my fueling on the fly and make it really simple. And this is something I'm really looking forward to do, and I want to show you how to do it as well. So, all right, so there's a couple of things we're going to want to do first here. And here in the back seat, your low pressure fuel pump is here underneath your back seat, but we want to pull this side bolster first. If you've never had this off before, it's probably going to be pretty stiff. So pull your seatbelt out, work your fingers in on both sides, give it a good tug. This bolster will come out. There's a hook clip here at the top and 2 posts at the bottom. So just take this out, feed it out, and set it aside. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to depressurize our fuel lines before we pull them here underneath the seat. So you've got your EKP module right here, and this is what controls your fuel pump. So there, you can see there's 2 plugs, a big one and a small one. Just hit the tab on the big one and pull that out, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to start the car and let it run out of fuel. All right, so with the EKP module unplugged, go ahead and open your gas door, undo your gas cap, and put it up sitting up in your door. Best way to drain that fuel line is to run it out entirely. So go ahead and start your car at this point and let it run until it stops. Just like that. All right, so next steps are going to be taking your seat base out. Now, keep in mind if you have a heated rear seat, I don't in my car, but if you do, you're going to have a plug here and plug there you need to be careful with. But this is really simple. Just grab on the lead edge, pull up, grab on the lead edge and pull up. Go ahead and just take this and feed it out. And your seat belts hooks will feed out as well. So now your seat base is out as entirely. Now, again, if you've got heated seats, make sure to reach back and unplug. You'll find a cable that comes out of the seat base and plugs into a module on both sides. Go ahead and unplug both of those. Go ahead and take your seat base out, set it safely aside. Okay, so now that your seat base is out, this is a great opportunity to clean under here too. I always do. But all you have to do is lift this felt cover. Now, I'm going to have one additional step that you're not. If you followed my SoundSkins tutorial, obviously I've got my SoundSkins material in here as well. So I'm going to run a quick edge around here to lift out the center disc for my SoundSkins. But I didn't want to leave that out just in case you followed all of the same build that I've done on my car. But let me do that really quick, and then I'll show you this hat cover on the top of your low pressure fuel pump. All right, so if you followed the same steps that I've had and you have sound skins down, if you haven't, then just ignore that step, because here's the top of your fuel pump. So I just cut a disc out of my sound skins that I'll put back when I'm all done. Then these are just 10mm plastic nuts that you can just take off and safely set aside. So once all of those are off, this lid will come up and off, okay? And you can see your fuel pump here, and I'll rearrange my camera so you can see a little bit better. But one of the very first things you're gonna wanna do is undo this big plug right here. Now, you've also got this rubber grommet that we're gonna actually make a small cut through to get the wiring for the sensor through this as well. So what you can do is just take this and just press the grommet backwards a little bit. And then you just take a good sharp shop knife, stay away from all of your wires, and then just put a slice into this rubber grommet just by itself, okay? Now, I'm gonna need a better shop knife. But just put about an inch long slice into this rubber grommet, and we're gonna feed part of the wiring harness for the new sensor through this, and then just fit it right back into place, okay? So let me get a better shop knife and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so once you have a slit in this rubber grommet, you want to take the wiring harness for the new sensor, feed it through that little slit, and you can fit the grommet into place with the plug right here, just available to plug in once we're good to go. So now that you're looking at your fuel line here, and this is why we wanted to drain this, we wouldn't want this under pressure. You want a microfiber cloth here just nearby, just in case. So go ahead and pull this little white horseshoe collar back. You use both fingers to pull it back into place. And then there's a button right here you want to press on. I find it's easier if you actually press down on the hose a little bit to give a little bit of pressure off of that button. And then you should be able to press it and lift up and off. And there we go. We just got only a couple of drips of gas, where if it was under pressure, it would be really bad, okay? So I'm just gonna clean that up with my cloth a little bit and make sure we don't have any fuel sitting around, okay? So now that that's done, we can grab our sensor. So you can see right here, and this is where we're going to start plugging in this new sensor in place. So this is the clip that's going to go where the OEM one did. You just take it and press it, and it should click. Make sure that it clicks into place. And this we're going to want to rotate the sensor around a little bit, make sure that it has good fitment, fits in here really, really nicely. And then you can take the OEM side and plug in all the way down, press the collar into place on the sensor. So there you go. So now we've got this loop set. It's nicely into place and all plugged in, okay? All right, now that this is set, and you can just have it all turned off to the side just a little bit, double check your connections, make sure that they're in and solid, and on that horseshoe collar clip is on. You can take the plug from the wiring harness that you've brought through the grommet and go ahead and plug it into the sensor right here. And then you can take the original OEM plug, bring the lid back down, and plug this right back into place here on the original side of the pump as well. Now, we're going to go ahead and leave this lid loose for now, because once we get this all plugged in and we test and we fire the car up, we're going to double check to make sure we don't have any leaks here first. So we don't want to secure this down yet, okay? So go ahead and get that all done, and then we're going to go up and we're going to plug into the EKP module for the wiring harness. All right, so all we need to do now is just plug in the sensor into the EKP module right here. And so you've got your wiring harness that came up. You can see where you've got an adapter here and the big plug here. The big plug is going to go right into the EKP module where you pulled out the original OEM plug. So you just take that and you're going to feed it right back into the same location, just like that, and then it clips into place. Then take the original plug and plug it into the adapter right there. Okay, make sure everything fits in really nice and tightly. You wouldn't want a loose plug. So then I've taken a little bit of 3M double-sided adhesive. I haven't pulled the back off of it yet right there. But you're going to want to take this and tuck the control box up in deep back behind where it's up and out of the way. And then simply just take the rest of the cables and tuck them down this line. Make sure you have enough room here in the run that goes down to the pump, that you're not pulling on this wire at all. So just make sure that it tucks nicely and it's got enough slack that it has no issues as well. If you wanted to, you could always zip tie it in with the rest of the cables, but it really is that simple, okay? So just get all this tucked away, and then you can put this side bolster back on. Then we're gonna fire the car up to test. All right, so now all of that is plugged back in. You can go ahead and put your gas cap back on and shut your gas door. And then at this point, what I usually do, we'll turn on my ignition, which will pressurize the entire system and then start the car up. Should start up right away, shouldn't be a big deal, but it might run just a little bit different just for a second while it's pressurizing the fuel system again. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my ignition on, just like that. Okay, and then all right, now that we've got everything running again, we can actually show the functionality of what this looks like. Now you can do this while it's running. You can also do it when it's off, because I want to have the ignition on so you can see the most dramatic change and difference here, because I'm running 92 octane right now, which, you know, at the pump they say is roughly about 10% ethanol. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your steering wheel control, and you can see my RPM gauge right now is at 0 because the car's not running. So if I take this and I hold it down one click, you should see the needle move. I'll let go again. So it's 0, and I'm gonna take this left hand control, I'm gonna take it down one click and hold. As you can see, the needle jumped, and you can see it's just short of 1,000 RPM or 10% ethanol. So that's probably what, about 9% ethanol or so. So if you add E85 or you add various different race fuels, you're gonna see different values up through your controls, all the way up to, say, E85, which you'd see this all the way up at 8,500 RPM to indicate that that's 85% ethanol. So as you can see, the gauge is working. Goes down again, bang, just like that. Gives me a good readout of what my ethanol content is. Now, the one other thing to keep in mind is that this is gonna change. So for example, if I ran straight to the gas station right now, topped my car off with as much ethanol as I could fit in, and if I checked it immediately, it's gonna take a few minutes for it to adjust. So what you'd want to do is if you do something like that, you know, idle it for a little while, or take it for a nice, easy, gentle drive while that new blend blends through your system and your flex fuel is working as well, for it to adjust to the different levels of ethanol in your car, and you'll see this gauge move. I mean, if I test it immediately after putting E85 in, it's still not going to change all that much. Okay, but as you can see, it's working, which is absolutely fantastic. So now we can just put the car back together. All right, so once you have it all put back together, you go ahead and put your tools away and you should be good to go. I am super excited about this because I'll be honest with you, I've avoided ethanol and running E85 blends and all those different options, even though you get a lot more horsepower out of it, just because of the hassle. I just don't want to deal with it. And then if you did want to put in a sensor like this, it was an incredible amount of work. It was 4 or 5 hours of work. You had to run additional fuel lines and all this extra wiring. And then you wouldn't even have the steering wheel control integration like you do with this module. This is where this flex fuel sensor from Protuning Freaks is a game changer, not only in how easy it is to install, but the integration that it gives you and your ability to run something like a flex fuel tune, where you really could have a very different level of ethanol in your car depending on what you want to do. So you want to have a weekend track day, or you're going out for a little bit more enthusiastic driving and you want to put E85 in, and you end up with like an E40 blend or an E50 blend, your flex fuel tune is going to be able to deal with that because of this sensor. That really is a big deal. I am really grateful to Protuning Freaks for making such a fantastic product. I am so excited to have this in my car, and it's something you can do really easily as well. Everything you need will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check that out for product and tools or anything else. And then in addition, please click subscribe and the little alarm bell. It makes a huge difference to my channel, and I have a ton of projects coming that I'm really excited to bring to you, and I'll see you on my next video.